Hey guys, wanted to make another update video. I know y'all been looking for it. Some of the comments have been asking for it. So I just wanted to say this is likely going to be a very, very long video. Not that my other ones were not very long, but this one will be especially long because I'm going to go over a lot of differences or some changes to the build that have been made and the increases to our evasion rating, adding in acrobatics, some ascendancy stuff, Atlas passives, etc. We went over Atlas passives in the previous video, but this one I want to kind of dive into a little bit more once I found out what I was looking for. So first off, I want to talk about gearing for the build. So I've been getting the question, which crossbows are good bases or good things to look for? And I've talked about the mods on crossbows in previous videos, but I didn't talk about the bases that would be the best. So right now, according to the bases that I found, you want to try to stick to expert bases of Forlorn, Sturdy, Varnished, and Tense. These four are good because their attacks per second plus reload time are either on the lower end. Attacks per second is higher, reload speed is lower, so it doesn't take as long to reload, and the flat physical damage roll is the highest on those bases. One thing to look for on these is finding ones that have those mods is going to be fairly difficult. If you need to, don't go for the expert bases. Instead, drop down into the advanced bases. Like I have right here, I actually upgraded. I have an expert varnished crossbow from what I was doing before. So once again, the mod should be in this order: percent fizz, LE damage with attacks, and then your flat elemental or your flat lightning damage roll. Attack speed is a plus, but it's not required. So for chess piece, the best chess pieces are Pathfinder coat, studded vest, or serpent scale coat. These are the best because they are the highest evasion rating that you can get, and the expert versions for two of them come with implicit mods of reduced slowing debuffs, which you can see on this body armor right here, and elemental ailment threshold. Now, for this chest, we want to look for high evasion rating. That's the biggest one because we want to make sure that we're evading. That's our main defensive mechanic. Life, which in this case we want to go as high as we can, and resistances. And so for me, I've got a dual res, fire and cold. Try to get your res up so that you fill out your res to 75 or higher, and we'll get into that later on in the video. To make yourself as tanky as you can be from elemental hits and elemental degens, etc. What are the right boots? So in my case, I have a flat evasion rating boot. This is lizard scale, but the ones that you want to look for are laced, steel toe, and lizard scale. All three of these are high evasion. The expert versions are, and they are pure evasion bases, which means that you do not have another stat like armor or energy shield that is essentially a dead stat for us. We want to go evasion rating only. And why are these the best? Like I said, they're pure evasion bases, and the expert versions are the highest that you can get. You want to look for movement speed, high evasion rating. So in this order: movement speed, high evasion rating, high life as much as possible. In my case, I don't have life. That was a I was out of currency decision, so I went for rarity instead. But you can go for life, resistances, and rarity. Rarity is like the icing on the cake. In my case, I didn't get any res from the boots. I went for chaos, like elemental res. I only went for chaos res, so I could increase my chaos res. I think I'm at 68%, but I'll show that later in the video. So for the right belt, we want to go for any base. I personally enjoy using utility, or prefer it rather, because of the 20% flask recovery, applying instantly. It is definitely a, oh crap, I'm taking damage kind of implicit. I'm able to, once I take a lot of damage, I can hit that flask and know that at least some of that flask is going to hit me instantly. For this, you want to look for life, resistances, and extra charm slots if possible. Extra charm slots are going to be very expensive usually, but any extra charm slots that we get just improve the defensive capability of the build all the more. Or if you wanted to, one of the charms is rarity, but but you don't have to go that route. I would usually prefer, or if I had a multi-charm belt, I would be using freeze immunity and bleed immunity. So which charm, you may ask, which charm should I use? Use whichever charms are prevent you or purge you from the most scary ailments that you find on your build. In my case, like I said, freeze is very, very scary. Being frozen in place and just sitting there while they wail on me, it's not fun for me at all. For the right jewelry, so any base works here. I went for Chaos Res base and an Elemental Res base. And then for my amulet, I went for Rarity. Any base is fine as long as you're able to fill out your res. For these, you want your mods to look for res, life, added attack damage, preferably fizz and or lightning, and rarity, which is the other icing on the cake. Other mods are okay, like dexterity, that helps us get attack speed with our attack speed node, 1% attack speed per 15 dex, and evasion rating is helpful too. It just helps improve the flat evasion that we can get. Evasion rating, like I said, is not required, nor is the dexterity, but hey, if it gets us there, it gets us there. And for the amulet, it's the same: life, rarity, all res. This is a very good amulet, but I will likely replace this whenever I get to a point in my progression and how much currency I have. I will get the same 3 mods I have: life, rarity, and all res, but I will want to also add in projectile gems, plus the projectile gems. I've just looked at those amulets. They are insanely expensive. So I've stayed away for now. And lastly, for the right helm, Hunter Hood is the best evasion by far, but there is Swathed Cap and Felt Cap behind it. Felt Cap is the lowest evasion, Swathed Cap is the mid-tier evasion, and then Hunter Hood is the most. I settled for a Swathed Cap because I believe at the time that I was... Here, let me do this. I believed at the time that I was looking for helmets, the only one that was close to my budget was the Swathed Cap. There were Hunter Hoods out there with like 1,300, 1,400 evasion. I believe they were that much. It might have been a little less, but it was basically like having a chest piece on my helmet, and I couldn't afford it. It was like 150 exalts was like the lower end for Hunter Hoods, and then it went up all the way to, I think, like 100 divine. So anyway, for this, we want to go for high evasion, resistances, life if possible, and rarity if possible. As you can see, I also gimped myself by not getting life on my helmet. That is also okay, as long as you have enough life to survive the hits in the higher tier maps. In my case, I went for lightning and chaos res, so I could up my chaos res to 68%. So there is one thing that I've found that I don't believe anybody... Well, I don't believe the newer community in Path of Exile understands, and that is catalysts. Catalysts drop from breach content. This is the breach hands that are in your map, or I can show you. This right here, this is breach. If I can click on it. Nope, anyway. So the hand is breach. When you kill monsters in breach, they have a chance to drop these catalysts, and the catalysts that they drop are random, usually random. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody in the comment section, go for it. I'm always willing to learn more because PoE2 is still brand new. But as you can see, catalysts add quality to your jewelry. In this case, it would be a ring or an amulet, not a belt. of the specified type, which increases the modifier of that item, i.e. in this case, I used cold modifiers or a cold modifier catalyst, and it increased both the cold res on my ring and the elemental res. And I can hit tab to show you that the original values were 16 cold res and 14 all res. I let go of alt, 16 all res and 19 cold res. Very, very cool. Now, another thing that would be really interesting is if I had cold damage on this ring, it would also increase the cold damage, I believe, on the ring as well. So lots to do, or lots to work with when it comes to quality, but just remember that quality increases the modifiers on your ring up to 20%. Now, one thing to note, I want to find one of these. Breach rings have a special modifier on them. The implicit of maximum quality is 50%. This means that I can craft, or I can have a breach ring that has 50% quality of my choice, right? We're not able to double up on quality. I wanted to state that if I went up and added another catalyst to this ring that was not cold, it would go back down to 1% and I would lose all my 20% quality. So be very careful with that. Make sure whichever catalyst you choose to use on your rings and amulet, that you use the one that corresponds to whichever mod you want to increase, because it's kind of like you do it and you kind of not going back with that, right? Obviously, if you wanted to make some changes, you wanted to add in some quality for another mod, i.e. if I wanted to add in attack quality to or an attack catalyst to my ring, I can increase my fizz damage to attacks on this ring, and my LE res and cold res would go down. Not a bad thing to do. It's just not what I chose because I needed the extra res. So in this case, like I said, with breach rings, you can go up to 50% quality. That applies to any catalyst you use on your rings. So as you can imagine, 50% quality means we're going to be adding 50% of the mod that you have on that piece of jewelry. You will be adding it on top of what's there. i.e. if I added 50% quality if I did lightning on this breach ring or attack on this breach ring, that 1 to 17 would increase to 17 divided by 2, 8. So it would be 1 to 25 lightning damage. Okay. If you have any questions about catalysts, please ask them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them, or other people in the community will answer them on the video. More than happy to also discuss this in Discord. If you'd like Discord, there is a Discord link in the bottom in the description of the video. Feel free to join. We all talk amongst each other. We discuss in the Discord. We discuss our builds, where to go next, is this item good, etc. And you can have people of like mind discussing together about the build or about builds in Path of Exile 2 at all. Or gaming in general. To be honest, it's kind of all over the place. You can be a part of the community, and I would love to interact with you in chat or in voice. So come down. So one other thing I want to talk about is the Atlas tree. So I talked about this in the previous video, and it's this node called local knowledge. I personally am choosing local knowledge because I want to farm grass biomes for socket currency, because I'm looking for that perfect jeweler's orb. Oh, I don't want to show you that yet. A perfect jeweler's orb to get to 5 sockets. When you go to the map device, the biomes for the maps, if you did not know this, because I didn't know this and that's why I'm bringing it up, are indicated by the environmental, or the environment that map or that map node exists in. For instance, so for these should be forest biome because they're in the middle of the forest. These should be grass biome because they're in the middle of the grass. There's a couple more. Desert biome, mountain biome, and swamp and water. So swamp and water will be on this side, right? Where we have some water here and things of that nature. what was the other one? Anyway, you get the point. So wherever the map point is, that is the environment or the biome to which it applies. In my case, I farmed maps that were in the not in the forest, in the grass biome, and I went from, I think, 5 jeweler's orbs up to, well, I've got 17. I used a few. I had 21 earlier, and I think it was like 5 maps or 6 maps, right? I got like, however many that is, right? 17. Okay, now that I've talked about that, I'm going to show you the clips of getting my 3rd Ascendancy. Take a look.
An oasis in the desert. The foe ahead is formidable. Steel yourself. Beware of the birds.
Get wrecked by pot nerd. Oh crap. Sorry. I'll let you know whenever I'm done with this fight. Thank you so much for the sub.
He's quick.
It's quicksand. Yes. Okay.
Show your expression of despair. Well done, challenger. But there is one more trial you must complete. Defeat me and prove your worth to chaos.
You and me. Nice. Ow.
Chaos, aid me. Embrace chaos. Entropy. Be still. Surge of chaos. Unamusing. Chaos, aid me. Feel his power. Entropy.
Oh, snap.
Next time, avoid that
Oh my gosh. Maybe next time avoid that one. Oh man. Yeah, I was very bummed out about that Trial Master run. Got so close, didn't get close enough, failed at the end. So what I want to do is I want to show you where I'm headed in my ascendancies. As you can see, the difference in this ascendancy is I went for thaumaturgical infusion. Now, originally I was going to go quality and +1 to skills, but on stream last night, I did some research on the gem levels and the projectile gem levels and how much damage those gem levels apply to our skills. And to be honest, it was very lackluster. It did not help as much as I was expecting it to. So because of that, I'm foregoing plus to skills and quality because we already have 20 quality. And I was thinking that the 14% quality we get here would increase the amount of evasion rating, the more evasion rating that we get from Wind Dancer, but that's not the case. Wind Dancer only scales its percent evasion rating by levels and the number of Wind Dancing or Gale Force charges, excuse me, by the amount of 20% quality at a time. This would only put us at 34%. So anyway, I've foregone that and I've gone for thaumaturgical infusion. So I do not want to overstate this. I can't overstate this, but this ascendancy node is very, very, very convoluted. It is very powerful, but it's very convoluted. And so if taking this node, it's like, you feel like, hey, this is just too complicated for me. Hey, that's okay. Just go the route of quality and level of gems. You will still get some power from that. And therefore it's still good, right, for Gemling. So I'm going to talk about this in just a second, but I wanted to talk about before I get there, my fourth ascendancy will likely be adaptive compatibility, because if you take adaptive compatibility, all of your support gem capacity is going to be equal to your highest. And I tested this right before I made the video. I don't want to respec again. It's like 20 or 30,000 gold per node, and I just don't want to spend it. But all of my gem capacity went up to, I think it was 42, which is really odd. I thought it would be 41, but it's to 42. Oh, it might be, actually, it might be here. It's because of the attributes node. So that being said, I have tested this with, I essentially just socketed in a ton of different support gems. So my goal originally, with the amount of sockets that I have and skill slots, I went ahead and added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional skills because that's what we had left. And I used a lesser jeweler's orb on all of them except for Plasma Blast. Plasma Blast, I had already made this 4 socket in a previous video, or sorry, in a previous attempt. I ended up corrupting it to 4 sockets. So I went ahead and just used this one because I had the extra socket, which turns out it helped a little bit. So the way that this operates is for every 4 support gems that you have socketed into your skill gems, it equals +1 max resistance of that type. Cold equals blue, or sorry, blue equals cold, red equals fire, and green equals lightning. In my case, I have 12 strength gems, supports, 23 dex supports, and 12 int supports. So in this case, this would give me 3% more max res for both fire and cold. And I believe this means, so 4 times 6. So this would give me 5% increased max res for cold, or for lightning. And that is exactly what it does. My lightning res is at 80%, my fire res is at 78%, and my cold res is at 78%. And my chaos res is at 68%. None of this node doesn't change anything about your chaos res. So yeah, so make sure, like I said earlier, make sure that if you're going to do this, that you always make sure that you're adding in support gems that are with the amount being divisible by 4. Therefore, so that you can get the next tier of max res. If this is too convoluted, that, like I said, that's fine. Just go for quality of gems and plus to skills, and just call it a day, right? But if you want the extra defensive nodes or the defensive capability of this, which in this case, just to give you an idea, 5% more max res means I'm taking 5% less lightning damage, period. 3% more or 3% less fire damage and 3% less cold damage than what I could have had at 75, 75, and 75. All right, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I wanted to say that this will likely be the last update video that I put out for this build. Anything else that you'd like to know beyond this, please make sure you join the Discord or you ask the questions in the comments section. Right now, I'm still thinking through what my next build will be, but I will be leveling that character once I decide and putting out a video on it once I get it flushed out. Here's a sneak peek though. What I'm thinking right now is I'm thinking I will be using Doriani's prototype with something like Invoker, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to scale the extra lightning damage by my negative res and how much armor I can really get to mitigate it. So still fleshing it out. Because we don't have path of building, it's hard for me to put it on paper without just testing it in game. And it may be just total trash. I may get it to cruel or maybe even to maps, and then it'll just fall on its face. I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. And then if I get to maps, I will be putting out a video on it about the progression and how to build the character. Yep. So, and last but not least, I wanted to say I intend to start streaming both on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously in the future. Tomorrow I will be streaming. This is Friday this week, so look out for that, those of you on YouTube. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching the video, and thank you so much for sticking around this long. And we'll talk to you in the next one. Happy hunting, Exile.